I'm assuming we'll get a few more here. Just to bring everyone up to speed. The past couple of weeks, we've had guest speakers. We had Justin Schaefer from City of Norfolk Stormwater Department. And the week after that, that was last week, we had Matt Simons from the Office of City Planning, City of Norfolk. They were great. There were a lot of questions, and their information and their feedback has been posted on our website. Some of it is in the FAQ PDF, and some of it is actually, there are links to files on that FAQ page. So if you have any difficulty accessing it, let us know. The City of Norfolk gave us, one team requested GIS information about the Norfolk stormwater system, as well as sizing information. Those files are posted there. Links to documents that Matt was talking about last week are posted there too. So what we're doing now in the last 2-week stretch of this challenge is just to check in with everyone, give you all a chance to ask questions. We know that there's that people are working on their submissions. We have about 45 at various stages underway on F6S, and that's great. We're very happy to see that. If you need any help or you have any questions, this is your chance, or contact us. We had one question about the access to the data. We have in the City of Norfolk, we have about 30 sensors installed at various locations. There were some questions about the availability of that data in real time, and also historical data. Right now, that data is not available. That it tends to go to the companies that own the sensors. But we could look into this if that's something that is needed for a team. I don't think we'll be able to get anything established prior to March 15th, but if it's needed as part of a project, then indicate so, and we can take that into account and discuss it further. We did run through very early on some of the basic questions about the topic areas. I'm assuming there's not too much confusion about that now. 2 weeks before the deadline would be a tough time to try and sort that out. But also funding, how the funding is allocated and how it's managed. We've been through all of that, but if there are questions, if you need clarifications on any of that, then now is your chance. If you have any other questions, additional data that you might need for your submission, or for any other reason, then by all means raise your hand, and we can talk about that. Are there any questions right now from anyone on the line to help them with their submission?
Hi, I was raising my hand. I don't know if I'm not visible.
Okay, you are now. You could also raise your hand.
Oh, my little virtual hand. Sorry.
Either one will do. That's fine.
There's my hand.
Go ahead.
Okay. My question was about the sensors that you just referenced, because we're identifying sites, what would be the best place. We're launching floating gardens, working with Evelyn Tickle's biophilic concrete as part of the component of the garden. And she had identified a bunch of sites that she said were good for access and so on. But we were wondering, I mean, having real-time water sensor data from outside of where our gardens are going to be, because we'll be doing our own monitoring, would be good. Is that a map of those sites available that we could look at?
Let's see. Let us ask the city and see if they have a they have the map. If we do, then we will post it. So
I can refer to them in the abstract, just saying that would be a good addition.
Yeah. And obviously, if that's something that you want to, that you would like to have, if it's a nice to have, then include that in whatever you're proposing. But yeah, Barbara, let's look into to see if we can get a map from the city then.
Yep, sounds good. It's noted.
Yeah, we had expected to do our own water sampling around it, just didn't know what was going to be available.
Yeah. Any questions from anyone else?
I have additional questions that I don't want to hog all the time though.
Go ahead. That's what we're here for. And anyone else chime in if you have questions. Go ahead.
So a lot of the questions in the application are about a sort of a startup model for the businesses. If we're a nonprofit and we are sort of rolling, so instead of thinking of ourselves as having like a certain runway and so on, we tend to scale up in terms of financing becoming available, but we will continue on regardless. The degree to which the business plan as part of the presentation deck is concerned, how extensive, detailed, and essential is a full business plan? I mean, I've been in ventures where we had $50 million investment and had to have a 50-page business plan. I'm just wondering, what is your expectation? If there's examples of what you like, I don't want to overwhelm you or underwhelm you either.
No, fundamentally, there's two main things that we take into account with as far as the business plan goes, and we have funded nonprofits in the past, and so that's fine. One is fundamentally we want to know that once the company has used the money that we've allocated to them, that there is a pathway forward. It may be getting other loans or grants, or it could be in selling stuff. What we're also doing is because part of the funding that we give is in the form of a revenue-based loan, meaning the companies pay back the loan that we give them out of their revenues. It's not like a standard loan, but it's based on revenues. We need to see some fairly detailed and reliable financials, so as we understand that the company can, in fact, pay back the loans. And that goes for nonprofits too. Nonprofits get revenues too. It's not those are the two things that we're looking for. We want to make sure that you will be viable after spending our money, and we also want to make sure that there is some revenue in the future that can pay back the loan. RISE has to become sustainable too, and this is one of the ways that we do this. But it's not a standard loan. It's just paid back out of gross revenues from the product that you develop.
Yeah, Evelyn explained it to us pretty well, I think. So we're very clear on that aspect of it.
Anyone else with any questions?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, Vladimir, I'll come back to you afterwards. Samuel, go ahead.
Yes, my name is Samuel Graham. I'm with Green Path Energy Solutions. I'm based in Orlando, Florida. And I was going over the, I guess, your proposal, your scope, and not sure if our particular project fits within the scope of what you're doing. We do have a product that we've been commercializing that automates the building commissioning process. And we do retro commissioning and building commissioning on small and medium-sized buildings. And I looked at your building, I guess, scope that you had, and just trying to see if we can fit within this to submit a grant proposal.
So we do have an area, the protection of buildings, and that really is related to we're a coastal community, so obviously we're threatened by different types of flooding. And so our focus is really is really in protecting buildings from that type of a threat. Now it could be, we do have an insurance company or a company working on an insurance solution. So, you know, that is one method of protecting buildings. We've also got one that is actually making measurements of what's going on in the basement of a building that is experiencing flooding. So there has to be a tie back here to the threat to coastal communities in your solution, and it has to be also address an issue that we have in our area, but also can scale to other locations. So I can't really tell you offhand whether your solution fits or not, but I'm just trying to outline the four corners of the box here.
And I grew up in the Hampton Roads area and always have been very anxious to get back in there to do some business development work. But we're mostly in the energy efficiency level, because buildings, they're not that sustainable, and there's a number of ways they can do to reduce their energy consumptions. So that's basically what we're focusing on, the demand side of the energy that they're using inside the buildings to make the buildings more energy efficient.
Yeah, and we do have a topic area, which is reestablishing critical utilities and trying to get the city to or buildings in the city to come back after there's been a disruption to utilities there. So that may be an area that you may fit. If you have other questions, then feel free to send us email and see if we can help clarify. It's really, we really can't say at this point yes or no, but what we can try and do is clarify in your mind the areas of our interest.
Okay, I can do that.
Okay. Vladimir, did you have a question?
Yes. What if your proposal fits not only in for example, building protection, but also in analytics? Because
it's fine.
Okay.
So go ahead. I'm sorry. Finish your sentence.
Because many solutions all revolve around coastal cities, stormwater, excessive rain, flooding. So they are linked together.
Yeah.
So one proposal can be a solution for many topics.
Yeah. And that's nothing wrong with that. That does not exclude you, and you don't need to submit the same solution over and over. Just submit it, and we often find that they do cover a number of the verticals there.
Okay.
Anything else? Anyone got any other questions?
I might jump in. Hi. Well, good morning over here. I'm Lauren Ruffin. I'm calling in from Honolulu, Hawaii. I sent you an email, Paul, but we're with 3R Water, and I just want to clarify to make sure we're fit. So, you know, we have a software and data platform that supports the stormwater utility and their customer base to get more green infrastructure out and get those incentives more easily accessed by communities.
Yes.
So I just want to double check. I know that there's a lot of green infrastructure in the Chesapeake Bay area. I'm sure there is in Norfolk. I just want to make sure that that's an identified solution for the city's resiliency strategy for this category.
What I can say is that it certainly falls within areas of our interest. I can't say whether what you're proposing or not is a direct fit, but it does fall in an area that we have been working in.
Okay. Thank you.
Daniel?
Hi, I'm Daniel Barker. I'm with Finn Flood Vision in Houston, Texas. Following up, I guess, on Tim's question regarding the business plan. So you mentioned having detailed financials. What about for pre-revenue startups? What do you expect in that case?
A lot of the companies we have dealt with are pre-revenues, but do the best you can with your projections. We understand where you are in the whole process, and we would look at these projections accordingly. So it's not unusual. You're not in an unusual spot. Just do your best to make the correct assumptions. Target and identify the customers and what other information you can give us to support your projections. But being pre-revenue should not stop you. Our funding is intended to be what we call catalytic funding, which gets you either to your first customer or your next investment. So being pre-revenue is not exclusionary.
Perfect. Thank you.
Any other questions? Tim? Yeah. Tim, yeah, go ahead.
Unmuting, thanks. There was another question that was about team members, and it said, how many team members are full-time employed? So we're identifying key team members like principals on the application, but then it seemed like the question maybe was about a broader, like other folks who might be contributing. We're also a very collaborative effort, so we have people sort of outside of our organization. So I didn't really know how to answer. Did you mean full-time employed on this pursuit, or what was that question?
Well, so there's a number of different facets to that. One is we were asking, how many people are in your company? So to get how many FTEs do you have in there? That gives us an idea of the size and the level of commitment and the capability of the company. But you are allowed to have team members, which may be companies or people that you will be relying on if you're selected as a winner and funded. And it's helpful to have those folks named at this point, because then you won't have to go through some of the procurement requirements that we have. So if you can identify individual A or company A or B that you're going to need and you're going to use in your work, and you identify them in your application, then if you're successful, you can go ahead and use those companies. What we have to do ordinarily for if you are awarded our money is there are some steps you have to go through in your procurement to comply with our funders regulations.
So you mean in order to compensate them for their contribution, but if they're separately compensated, then I'm just trying to differentiate between what needs to be named and how to answer that question.
Right.
Because, for example, we have a lot of academic partners who won't ever be seeking funding from us or from the RISE program. Would I mention them or not? That's all. I was just
there's no harm in mentioning it. What I was referring to is if you are going to actually pay a person or a company during your work, not for preparing the proposal, the application, but as part of the work, name them now, and that makes it easier. Anything else? Any other questions from anyone? Okay, well, I think that's good. Next week we'll have another webinar, and again it will be just a check-in. But if you have questions in the interim, send them in, and then we will post the answers on the FAQs if they're not of a confidential nature. But if there's no other questions, then don't need to take it. Yeah, Vladimir, you got one more?
What happened if, for example, we have a prototype product, and for that product we have also intellectual property rights and also copyrights? What happens then?
What do you mean? What you mean if we fund you?
Yes, yes, because the nature of what is in the proposal is also intellectual property.
Mhm. So just by virtue of you receiving funding from us does not give us any rights to your IP. And we give you the opportunity to declare your IP on your contract going in that so it's IP that you already have. So we're not looking to get control of any intellectual property, and we're not looking to threaten your control or your confidentiality of the IP. Does that answer your question?
I was just wondering because if that would be an issue or anything, but it answered my question, yes.
Yeah, you're not, I mean, there's plenty of the companies have their own IP and they keep it proprietary and we have no rights in it.
Paul, can I
Yeah.
get your email address?
Yes, it's Paul Robinson at riseresilience.org. Just our website domain.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, and if you would also CC Barbara Walker on any emails.
And Paul, I'll add our emails to the chat real quick so they can have them clean up.
Okay, yeah, thank you, Barbara.
No problem.
Okay, anything else? Okay, well, we're almost at the finish line. Thank you all for your time and your interest, and we'll talk next week. Last time. Thank you all.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.